The walls of Downton Abbey don't just hold stories, they breathe them. Every echo in its grand halls whispers secrets of love, power, and change. Every corner hides memories of laughter, heartbreak, and time slipping quietly by. Downton Abbey isn't just a house, it's a world, carefully built, piece by piece, to make us believe we're walking through history itself. But what gives a fictional place the power to feel real? Today, we step beyond the castle doors to uncover how Downton Abbey became more than a set. It became a living world. Creating Downton Abbey was never just about making a TV show. It was about building a time machine, a doorway that lets us step into another century and feel like we truly belong there. From the first moment we see the sweeping English countryside, framed by golden sunlight, we know we're entering a different kind of story, one that lives, breathes, and remembers. World building, in its truest form, is about creating a space where imagination meets authenticity. In Downton Abbey, every detail, from the echo of footsteps on marble floors to the rustle of silk gowns, is designed to make us believe this world is real. But it's not just the beauty of the building or the glitter of chandeliers that captures us. It's the feeling that the walls themselves have witnessed generations of dreams and disappointments. The creators of Downton Abbey knew that a believable world begins with truth. They studied the Edwardian era, the manners, the class divisions, the way the world changed after the Great War, and then wove those truths into every scene. When Lady Mary walks through the hall, it isn't just acting. It's history moving gracefully across the floor. When Carson straightens the silverware, it isn't just habit. It's the weight of centuries of service and duty. Even the air in Downton feels different, thick with silence, tension, and quiet dignity. The camera lingers not just on faces, but on spaces. A hallway lit by morning light, a letter lying unopened, a servant's glance toward the dining room where decisions are made that shape their lives. This is where storytelling transforms into world building, when every image, sound, and silence adds meaning. Downton Abbey reminds us that a world isn't built with bricks or walls. It's built with feelings, with care, respect, and intention. The audience doesn't just see Downton, they enter it. They walk through its doors and find themselves surrounded by stories waiting to be told. That is the magic of world building, not illusion, but immersion. In this story, the castle is not just a backdrop. It's a character, one that watches over every joy, every heartbreak, every change that sweeps through the Crawley family. It stands still as time moves forward, carrying the past like a whisper in its stone. Downton Abbey teaches us that when a world is built with heart, it doesn't end when the credits roll. It lingers. In our minds, in our emotions, in the quiet after the story fades to black. Because once you've walked through Downton's halls, part of you never truly leaves. The walls of Downton Abbey do more than separate rooms. They separate worlds. Above the grand staircase, life moves with grace, rhythm, and the quiet certainty of privilege. Below it, life moves just as quickly, but with purpose, duty, and the hum of unseen labor. Both exist under one roof, yet their worlds almost never touch. That is the beauty and tragedy of Downton's design. Every arch, hallway, and door tells us who belongs where. The upper floor glows with chandeliers and golden mirrors, while the servants' hall hums with the warmth of work. Clattering dishes, shuffling shoes, and the faint crackle of a fire that never goes out. Upstairs, silence is respect. Downstairs, sound is survival. In Downton, space itself decides your story. When you look closely, the house becomes a map of society. The grand dining room, where lords and ladies debate over dinner, is placed far from the kitchen, a reminder that refinement must never see the sweat that makes it possible. The servants' staircase winds in secret paths, hidden behind the walls, so that meals appear as if by magic. But it's not magic, it's hard work, discipline, and people who live in the shadows so others can shine in the light. This physical distance between classes was not just set design, it was storytelling. The writers used space as language. When a servant dares to step into a room meant for nobility, We feel the tension before a word is spoken. When a lady pauses at the top of the stairs, looking down toward the servants' quarters, it's not just a glance. It's a bridge between worlds that were never meant to meet. Downton Abbey doesn't shout about class. It whispers it through design. The camera lingers on the lines between the rich and the poor, the polished and the worn. Even the light changes. Golden and soft for the upstairs world, muted and gray for downstairs. Yet both are real, both are necessary. One cannot exist without the other. And somewhere between those walls, humanity finds a way to connect. A butler shows loyalty that outshines wealth. A maid dreams beyond her rank. A countess learns humility. These walls, built to divide, slowly become witnesses to understanding. The architecture of Downton Abbey is more than beautiful. It's truthful. It tells us that every system, no matter how grand, is held together by invisible hands. That dignity isn't owned by class but by character. That the heart of a home isn't found in its gold, but in its people. Downton's structure becomes a quiet reminder of a universal truth. We all live in worlds shaped by walls, but it's what we do across those walls that defines us. Clothes at Downton Abbey don't just dress the people, they speak for them. A gown can whisper of power. A uniform can confess devotion. A hat can hide secrets that words never dare to tell. In Downton, every stitch and shade tells us who a person is, or who they're trying to be. When we first see Lady Mary glide into a drawing room, she doesn't need to say a word. The shimmer of her gown already tells her story. Elegance, confidence, and a touch of rebellion hidden beneath perfection. Beside her, Lady Edith's softer tones hint at a quieter heart that longs to be seen. Lady Sybil's choices, lighter and freer, break the rules of tradition. Her dress becomes her declaration of independence. Downstairs, the language of clothing changes. For the servants, uniform is identity. Black, white, and modest. It's a daily reminder that they are part of the house but not of it. Yet even in simplicity, there's pride. Carson's perfectly pressed coat speaks of honor. Mrs. Hughes' apron holds quiet authority. Anna's plain dress still carries grace. They may not shine like silk, but they stand with dignity that fabric can't buy. The costume design in Downton Abbey is more than fashion. It's storytelling in fabric form. Designer Anna Robbins once described how each outfit had a heartbeat, crafted not only for beauty, but for truth. The colors shift with time. Early episodes bloom with Edwardian richness, lace, velvet, and deep jewel tones. But after the Great War, the palette fades. Fabrics become lighter, simpler, mirroring a world losing its old certainties. Every scene becomes a moving painting. The Crawleys dine in gold and ivory, glowing under candlelight, while downstairs glimmers in muted browns and grays. Yet both are beautiful in their own way. The contrast between sparkle and simplicity reflects more than class. It shows two kinds of strength, one born from privilege, the other from perseverance. And then there are the moments where costumes betray emotion. A widow's black dress, worn long after mourning, should have ended. A glove left behind in a corridor. A loosened collar after a long night of unspoken regret. These small details say what dialogue cannot. Because at Downton, feelings are often too deep or too dangerous to name aloud. Clothing in Downton Abbey isn't decoration. It's identity, memory, and sometimes rebellion. It shows us how people change, not just in fashion, but in spirit. As years pass and hemlines rise, so do voices that once stayed silent. Through color and cloth, we witness time itself evolve. The world outside the Abbey shifts. War, loss, love, and the slow crumbling of the old order. But within those halls, each new outfit carries a piece of that history, carefully stitched into the fabric of the story. Because in the world of Downton Abbey, the clothes are never just worn, they are lived in. Sometimes the most powerful moments in Downton Abbey are the ones where no one speaks. The camera lingers, the music fades, and for a heartbeat, silence takes the stage. It's in that stillness that we feel everything. Love unspoken, pain endured, time quietly passing by. Sound in Downton Abbey isn't just background, it's storytelling. The echo of footsteps in an empty corridor can say more than a page of dialogue. A closing door can mark the end of an era. The ticking of a clock reminds us that, no matter how grand the house, time never stops waiting for anyone. Listen closely, and you'll hear a symphony hidden inside the quiet. The rustle of silk as a lady walks to dinner. The distant clatter of plates below stairs. The faint chirp of birds outside as the morning light touches the windows. These sounds build a world that feels alive. Not just seen, but heard. Even the music of Downton Abbey has a voice of its own. The score, composed by John Lunn, doesn't demand attention. It breathes through the story. Gentle piano notes rise like memory. Strings tremble like longing, and a single melody can carry us from joy to heartbreak in one graceful motion. Every theme feels like a heartbeat beneath the dialogue. Soft, constant, human. But the true genius of Downton lies in its use of silence. Silence becomes a language of emotion. When a character stands still, words trapped behind their eyes, that quiet tells us everything. It's the moment before a confession, after a loss, or during a truth too heavy to speak. Silence in Downton is not empty. It's full. Imagine the dinner table. Silver gleaming, candles flickering. No one says a word, yet tension hums louder than any orchestra. A single cough, a scrape of a chair, the faint ring of cutlery. All of it speaks of pride, power, and restraint. That's the beauty of restraint in storytelling. Letting sound, or the lack of it, reveal the soul. Downstairs, the sounds shift. Laughter, chatter, the rhythm of work. Pans clanging, boots echoing, and doors swinging. It's noisy, warm, alive. The pulse of the house. The upstairs lives in melody. The downstairs in percussion. Together, they create harmony. The heartbeat of Downton Abbey itself. Every sound is chosen with care, not just to fill space, but to fill emotion. It reminds us that the grandest stories are not always told in words, but in whispers, echoes, and pauses. The sound of Downton isn't just something you hear, it's something you feel. Because in this world, silence isn't the absence of sound, it's the presence of meaning. What makes Downton Abbey feel real isn't the size of the castle, it's the care behind every single detail. Behind those grand halls and sweeping staircases, there's a quiet army of creators, historians, designers, and dreamers, each working to breathe life into a time that no longer exists. What we see on screen isn't just decoration, it's devotion disguised as art. Every teacup on that dining table was placed with purpose. Every letter, even if never opened on screen, was written by hand with ink that fits the era. The kitchen pots are real, aged with soot and years of imagined use. Even the silverware follows historical order. Because at Downton, the illusion only works if every inch of it tells the truth. Before a scene is filmed, the team researches etiquette, speech, and custom. They study how a lady would greet a guest, how a servant would address a butler, how one might stand in the presence of the Earl of Grantham. This precision transforms performance into authenticity. You don't watch actors, you watch time travel. The director doesn't just capture scenes, he captures manners. The way Carson adjusts his gloves before opening a door. The pause before Lady Mary speaks. A silence heavy with pride. Even a bow or a glance carries meaning because, in the Edwardian world, behavior was a language of its own. And then there's the texture of Downton itself. The smell of polish and linen. The glow of candlelight bouncing off gold frames. The soft crackle of a fire that's been burning for generations. These sensory details are invisible but essential. The unseen threads that make the story feel tangible. Downton Abbey's realism isn't about perfection, it's about truth. The truth that history is not just facts and dates. It's emotions, habits, and unspoken rules. By honoring these, the creators built something more than a show. They built memory. When we watch a servant kneel to tie a boot or a countess adjust her pearls, we're not just seeing action, we're witnessing ritual. These gestures, repeated day after day, form the rhythm of life within those walls. It's the rhythm that reminds us, Behind every grand story lies quiet work, done by unseen hands. Perhaps that's why Downton Abbey feels timeless. Because it's not pretending to be real. It is real in spirit. Every set, every prop, every word is treated with respect for the people and the period it represents. Behind the walls of Downton lies more than craftsmanship. There lies love. For history. For story. For the beauty of getting it right. Because the true magic of Downton Abbey isn't found in its fantasy. It's found in its truth. Beneath the marble floors and crystal chandeliers, beneath the polished manners and perfect postures, lies the true foundation of Downton Abbey: emotion. The bricks of the castle may be stone, but what keeps it standing is love, loyalty, fear, and hope. Every look across a dinner table, every word left unsaid, builds a quiet bridge between the people who call this place home. Downton Abbey isn't driven by its walls or its wealth. It's driven by its hearts. There's Lady Mary, torn between pride and vulnerability, learning that strength isn't the absence of pain, but the courage to live with it. There's Mr. Bates, whose silence hides devotion, and Anna, whose gentleness becomes her greatest armor. Upstairs or downstairs, noble or servant. Everyone in Downton carries a story written in emotion, not title. What makes this world so unforgettable is that every character is real in their contradictions. The Earl of Grantham, for all his authority, fears change like a ghost haunting his own home. Lady Edith struggles to be seen, to matter in a house that too often overlooks her. Even the servants, bound by duty, find ways to love and dream in secret corners. It's through their emotions, not their positions, that we see their humanity. The creators of Downton knew that emotion is the truest kind of world-building. You can paint the walls and light the candles, but if the people inside don't feel real, the world collapses. That's why every tear, every pause, every trembling smile matters. Because emotion is what turns fiction into life. Listen to how the music swells when two characters finally understand each other. Notice how silence lingers after tragedy. Not rushed, not dramatized, just real. In these moments, Downton Abbey becomes more than a story. It becomes a mirror. We see ourselves in its world, in our losses, our longings, our need to belong somewhere that feels like home. Even as time moves forward and the world outside the castle changes, these emotions remain eternal. Love across class, loyalty beyond duty, grief that echoes through generations. These are not just themes of a show. They are truths of being human. That's why Downton Abbey endures, because it doesn't just show how people lived, it shows how they felt. Every heartbeat behind those stone walls is a reminder that even the grandest places are built not from power, but from tenderness. And when the story ends, when the screen fades to black, what stays with us isn't the castle. It's the feeling it left behind. The quiet ache of lives that mattered. The warmth of kindness that defied class. And the truth that even the smallest moments can carry the weight of eternity. Because at its heart, Downton Abbey isn't just a place. It's an emotion that refuses to fade. As dawn spills across the lawns of Downton, the castle stands in quiet stillness. Proud, patient, eternal. The world outside has changed 1,000 times, yet here it remains, holding onto every secret, every sigh, every moment that shaped the lives within its walls. But Downton Abbey was never just about a place. It was about people, about what happens when time, tradition, and emotion collide under one roof. Behind every title and uniform was a soul, yearning, loving, breaking, healing. That's what made Downton more than fiction. It became a feeling. The world it built wasn't made from stone and silk alone. It was built from empathy, from the understanding that no matter where we stand in life, we all crave belonging, respect, and love. The Earl and the footman may live in different worlds, but their hearts beat to the same rhythm. Their dreams echo the same question. Who am I, and where do I belong? And maybe that's why Downton Abbey endures. Because in its stories of elegance and duty, we find our own reflections. We recognize ourselves in the courage to adapt, in the pain of letting go, in the quiet acts of kindness that hold people together when everything else falls apart. When the final credits roll, and the music fades, what remains is not just memory, it's connection. We remember Lady Mary's strength, Carson's devotion, Anna's tenderness, and Violet Crawley's wit that could pierce through silence like sunlight through stained glass. Each character leaves behind a lesson, a whisper of humanity that reaches beyond the screen. Downton Abbey reminds us that history isn't distant. It's personal. The world may change, but dignity, love, and compassion never go out of fashion. The castle may stand still, but the people inside it teach us how to move forward. And as the story closes, we step back from the grand estate, the mist rising, the music swelling one last time. The lights fade in the drawing rooms, the servants finish their duties, and the echoes of laughter fade softly into memory. Yet the feeling remains, gentle, nostalgic, eternal. Because Downton Abbey doesn't end when the episode does. It lives on. In every quiet moment we remember what truly matters. The people we love, the roles we play, and the worlds we build from our hearts. So as the doors of Downton close for now, we don't say goodbye. We simply whisper, until next time.